Hey mamas, welcome back. I'm Laura Wilkie with Down Home with Lemon Pie, and today's video is how to make bone broth in your INSTANTPOT. Recently I showed you guys how to make a whole chicken in your INSTANTPOT, and this is just as easy. So these are the ingredients we're going to be using. Some scrap veggies. I'm not even going to have to peel these. You'll see that in a few minutes. Some heavy seasonings, salt, thyme, bay leaves, pepper, just those good rich seasonings. You can even add whatever else you think you like in it. And then of course our INSTANTPOT and our chicken. This is our chicken carcass from a whole chicken that we cooked. It's got a little bit of liquid, a little bit of chicken still on there, and we are going to put all of that together and make a delicious, nutritious bone broth for a fraction of the cost that you would pay in a store for this. I am shocked all the time when I go to the store and I see how much they are charging for bone broth, because you can make it at home. It's so simple and so good for you. So I highly recommend making it on your own. And if you have an INSTANTPOT, it's that much easier. You can totally do it in a pot on your stove. You cook it down for several hours. But if you're in a crunch, you're a busy mama like me, the INSTANTPOT right now in this stage of life is the way to go. All right, so what you're seeing here is just a bag of scrap veggies. We had some veggies that I sauteed the other night, and these were the ones that were left over in that bag. Some celery, onion, carrots, and then I have here an onion. I'm recommending you go ahead and get organic vegetables for this recipe. It's not necessary in all recipes, but if you can, I definitely recommend it, particularly for this recipe, because we are going to be putting our veggies straight into the pot with like they are. You don't have to peel them. You don't have to take off the onion skins. You can just put them in like they are. So I absolutely recommend you try to do them with organic if you can. Here you can see I just kind of chopped them up. It's like a rough chop, and I threw them in. All of that is just to add flavor. So it's going to be super good, and all those nutrients. You can see there on the bottom right of your screen the garlic, the fresh garlic clove. I just threw it in like it is. It's going to break it down, I promise. And the tomato is so good for flavor. So if you are not a tomato person, still put it in there, because it does rock the flavor and it does not make it tomatoey, but everything's just tossed in. When I found out that I didn't have to do all the work to prep the veggies, this was like a game changer for me, because it made it so much faster, so much easier. So there you go. You don't actually have to do that. There is nutrients in all of those pieces, and the onion skins, all of those pieces we normally cut off, there's nutrients, and so we might as well use those as well. All right, the next step is to put in your seasonings and your spices, and then your water. You are going to use water all the way up to the fill line. There's a line on your INSTANTPOT pot, and it has a line that says max fill line. That's where you're going to fill it all the way up to as best you can. And then your seasonings and spices, your salt, if you want to do garlic powder, if you want to do oregano, if you want to do thyme, all of those things you're going to do. Your pepper, you're going to go ahead and add those now. And you're going to need to do more than you think you do. I know that's not real accurate, that's not real exact, and I honestly just toss them in, but it's going to be more than you think. So heavily season this broth will help it, and it'll be much more delicious that way. So I know that's not exact, but hopefully you can kind of trial and error, but definitely heavily season it. All right, it's time for the last ingredient. This is like the secret ingredient I didn't tell you guys about, but it is the apple cider vinegar. This is what's going to make all the difference. This is what's going to pull those nutrients out of those bones and make it so delicious. Again, I'm going to recommend you go ahead and get an organic one that is raw and unfiltered if possible. And for this, you're going to be putting in between a tablespoon and a quarter cup. It just kind of depends how much you want to do for your flavor. That's kind of a taste preference, but it's up to you. But definitely try to get one that is organic, and definitely don't forget this step, because it is, like I said, going to make all of the difference. For today's recipe, I am going to go ahead and do a 1/4 cup. If you want to try a little more, you probably could even go a little more, but I probably wouldn't do too much more than that, or it might start to affect the flavor some, but you can definitely do a little bit less if you prefer. All right, it's time to put the lid on. Make sure it's in the locked position. Put this onto the sealed position, and we're going to go ahead and get it all set up so that we can have our bone broth. We're going to put the push the button for soup, and we're going to move the timer all the way up to 2 hours. I know that sounds like a long time, but if you were doing it on the stove, it would be much longer, I promise. So this is going to get it done a lot faster. So yay. Now we're going to go ahead and just wait for this delicious bone broth to be ready. All right, the time has passed. The Instantpot's off. It is time to look and see. Look at this. Look at the goodness that you see here. You can even see kind of the golden color. I didn't even mention, but you could totally add turmeric to this, and that would give it an even more rich golden color, which is also super healthy for you. So there you go. These are all of these vegetables. They've released all their wonderful nutrients into this, and what we're going to do next is strain it, and then we're going to put it into our mason jars to keep it safe and to store it. You can can it at this point if you wished. I am not going to be doing that this time. So this is how it looks once you've strained it. I put a pot in my sink and then the strainer on top so that all of the liquid is saved. You can see my chicken. I even had the neck there. All of those good things that are part of the chicken, and the bones and the nutrients are all there. So we have strained it now, and all of that liquid is in the bottom pot now, and I'm going to pull that out. Okay, so the secret to a really good bone broth is that it will gel, and it's kind of hard to tell, but you can kind of see when it's shaking here that it is already kind of has that texture, that kind of gelled texture, and that is what you're looking for. It's a little easier to tell once it cools. So you can see how much I got here. I've got 3 large jars of the bone broth, so it was super exciting. I ran out of mason jars, so we had to borrow I think that's an old spaghetti sauce jar maybe, but yeah, super exciting. Now once it's cooled, I will show you guys how the gel looks. So these are the cooled bone broth jars. The first 2 there on the left, you can kind of see that gel. They actually start looking like the one on the right. That is just the fat. If you heat it up, it'll just mix back in. But in this particular situation, I went ahead and as it cooled, I scraped all of that off. It comes kind of hard, and it's super easy to just pull it out simply. But then you can see underneath that the good hearty gel, and that is super exciting. So you might be wondering, what am I going to do with this? All right, you can drink this, warm it up and drink it like a simple broth. You can add this to soups as your base for your soup. You can add this to gravies. You can add this to almost anything that you are making and that requires a bone broth or requires chicken stock or anything like that. A stuffing, if it's around the holiday time, you can add this to that. You can add it to anything, except instead of being store-bought, you know exactly what's inside it. It's super nutritious, it's super healthy, and it's like soul food right here. Thank you guys for watching and joining me. If you are making this at home, leave me a comment below. Let me know how it turned out, and I will catch you guys next time.